OnePlus has launched its latest flagship, the OnePlus 5, and this time the highlight feature is its dual camera setup. For the full review of the phone, be sure to check out the link in the description below. For today's camera test, we'll be pitting the OnePlus 5 against the flagships that fared well in our previous comparison, a link to which is also in the description. We have the Google Pixel, Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, iPhone 7 Plus, and of course the OnePlus 3T, since we're curious to know how much of a step up the new flagship actually is. So let's dive in. Our first test involves checking out how the phones fare in landscape shots. Here, we checked for color accuracy and see how the cameras handle varied detail in distant objects. The image taken by the OnePlus 5 ends up feeling a bit jarring, which is evident from the boosted colors, thus creating a stark contrast between the light and dark portions of the image. This causes the dark areas to appear completely black instead of having any sort of gradient. We weren't too happy with the details either in distant objects, as people's faces are nearly unrecognizable after zooming in. The S8 Plus produces the best HDR image as the picture is bright with good white balance, and surprisingly colors aren't too oversaturated. There's also very good detail in the grass, and distant objects are recognizable with barely any compression artifacts. The OnePlus 3T also manages very good details in the foreground, and objects in the distance appear sharp. The greens are still heavily saturated, which makes it look a bit unnatural. However, it's not as much as the OnePlus 5. It does, however, manage to accurately get the tone of the sky. The Pixel captures good details too, but the white balance is a bit off, making the scene look more cloudy than it actually is. Contrast is also heavily boosted here, and dark areas don't really have very good gradients. The iPhone 7 Plus doesn't fare too well here, with mushy details all around. HDR is usually a bit of a hit or miss with the iPhone, and in this case, it misses the ball. Coming to close-up shots, we picked a flower with the deep shade of purple, which should pose a nice challenge for our contenders. Here, we also test the quality of bokeh produced by the phones. The OnePlus 5 does pretty well in close-up shots. Our subject is sharp and the level of details is very good. Colors feel a bit exaggerated here, but overall they look lively. The bokeh effect is also good with a pleasing gradient of colors in the background. The OnePlus 3T actually performs a shade better than the OnePlus 5 in this test, as it maintains a good balance between color saturation and details. The bokeh is also smooth, although the colors in the background are a bit muted compared to its successor. The S8 Plus ties in here with the 3T, delivering rich color reproduction and a smooth bokeh, although we found the contrast in the greens feel a bit overblown. The image from the Pixel is also very detailed, although the colors don't really provide the most accurate representation of the scene. The bokeh effect is also handled pretty well. The iPhone once again pales in comparison with the rest of the group. The contrast levels are way off and the overall picture just looks a bit artificial. For a night shot, our focus was on the stone building, but it also lets us see how the camera handles the night sky and objects in the foreground. The OnePlus 5 finally shines here thanks to its wider f1.7 aperture. The dynamic range is very good, giving you a brightly lit night sky and barely any visible noise. Details in the foreground like the yellow railing is also clearly visible and is sharp. The S8 Plus edges out the OnePlus 5 with the lowest amount of noise and the sharpest picture of the lot. The individual leaves on the lower tree are also very legible compared to the others. The Google Pixel also does a good job with details, but introduces lots of noise which is visible in the sky. It's also the brightest of the lot, but the lighting isn't really indicative of the real world lighting. The OnePlus 3T produces a much warmer image with good details on the stone building. However, objects in the foreground like the yellow railing appear fuzzy. The iPhone ended up with a bright haze creeping in from the left, which is strange since none of the other phones had this. The scene is bright with decent details, but colors are quite muted and the overall image feels flat. For our close-up low-light shot, we focused on the mailbox, but also paid attention to how the cameras handle details and light metering for the background. The OnePlus 5 shows its low-light chops once more, capturing good detail and colors of the subject and the background. Dynamic range is also very good, and the objects in the distance are very legible. The Galaxy S8 once again nudges past the OnePlus 5 by producing a very sharp image with slightly better details on our subject. However, we prefer the white balance on the OnePlus 5 as the S8 has a heavy yellow tone from the street lamps. The Pixel does a good job with white balance and details too and produces a slightly brighter picture. However, as a result of this though, it also introduces some noise in the background which is visible on the road and the sky. The OnePlus 3T has a warmer color tone, but the reds on our subject doesn't really pop and details aren't really the best. The iPhone does an okay job with details, but the overall image just looks quite dull. We also have some glare from an overhead light on the street creeping into the scene, which doesn't really provide a good look. For selfies, we tested it during the day and another one at night, where we forcibly use a screen flash to see how the sensors cope in an extremely dim condition. With the OnePlus 5, we get good dynamic range with natural looking skin tones under good lighting. Level of details is good too, although we could have used a bit more contrast. In low light, the screen flash is very effective in illuminating your face. However, it also introduces lots of noise in the bargain. The Google Pixel simply slays it once again, delivering rich contrast, superb details, and very good depth to the image in daylight. Skin tones look great and the colors are punchy and vivid. In low light, the Pixel has a unique flash system which turns the area around the shutter button into a fill light. The result is decent colors and contrast in the image, but this comes at the cost of some noise. The Galaxy S8 Plus and the iPhone 7 Plus produce a bright image with good details and pleasant skin tones in daylight. The S8 does the best job at curbing noise, but that also gets rid of most of the background details. With the iPhone, the flash is powerful enough to illuminate your face clearly while maintaining decent colors. The OnePlus 3T produces a slightly washed out image in daylight and lacks good depth in this test. In low light, the lack of a screen flash gives you a rather dark image, but noise is still kept under control. For our video test, we did one at 1080p and 4K resolution. For 1080p, we chose an uneven surface to walk on, so it gives us a good chance to test the phone's stabilization. We also did this test during the day and one with very low light. The OnePlus 5 fares a bit better than the OnePlus 3T, but takes a small hit in overall picture quality. The electronic stabilization works decently well with the latest firmware, as the shimmering effect isn't too visible during the day. However, in very low light, image quality really goes for a toss, as the shimmering issue, coupled with the noise, leaves you with a less than ideal result. The iPhone performs the best here, as stabilization is smooth and details are good. Noise is also kept in check in low light. The 3T manages good quality footage, although we notice slight intermittent flickering issues in the stabilization. Night video gets a bit too noisy if you don't have a good light source around. The Google Pixel on the other hand produces good dynamic range in good lighting in the day with vivid colors. However, objects are quite blurry under low light. Finally, the Samsung Galaxy S8 has good stabilization in daylight and also has the least amount of noise in low light videos. However, we did notice a strange ghosting issue in very low light. The OnePlus 5 lacks any stabilization at 4K resolution, which results in very shaky videos, even if you're walking on a flat surface. Details are good, although the colors are a bit too saturated, and in very low light, we encountered quite a bit of noise. The iPhone once again delivers excellent stabilization at 4K, along with natural colors and quick focus during the day. Even in very low light, the noise is kept under check, and we didn't really face any focus hunting issues. The Pixel delivers punchy colors and good details too, but it's a complete mess in low light with lots of chroma noise ruining the footage. The colors are a bit exaggerated with the OnePlus 3T, while stabilization is good. It's not quite on the same level as the iPhone though. Details stay good in low light, but the colors are boosted quite a bit. The footage from the S8 Plus tends to have a slight wobbly effect when you move, but the noise is least among all in low light at the cost of some details. Now this camera test wouldn't really be complete without comparing the portrait mode on the OnePlus 5 with the iPhone 7 Plus. After all, it's what inspired the company to go in this direction. Unlike the iPhone though, the OnePlus 5 uses its telephoto lens only to judge the depth between the subject and the background and not to actually shoot the image. Both implementations do a good job of separating the background from the subject. However, the iPhone's telephoto lens captures sharper details and the subject is better lit compared to OnePlus's offering, which feels a bit on the softer side. The strong suit of the OnePlus 5's camera is clearly in low light photos, as a wider aperture allows for much better dynamic range. Noise is also handled much better compared to the OnePlus 3T. The Galaxy S8 still rules the roost when it comes to night photography though, followed closely by the Pixel. For daylight stills, it's really a case of a hit or miss situation with the OnePlus 5. It handles details in landscapes and macros very well, but tends to boost the colors a bit too much for our liking. In fact, during our tests, we found the 3T to perform a tad better than the OnePlus 5 in these situations. Here, the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus has the upper hand, balancing both details and colors very well, followed closely by the Pixel. Finally, if you're a heavy video user, then the OnePlus 5 is probably not the best tool for the job. Its electronic stabilization has gotten better at 1080p, but the lack of it at 4K is quite disappointing. The iPhone 7 Plus still continues to rule this spot. So thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more videos right here and give us a thumbs up, subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.